Sorry. Was the music too loud?
It was quite loud.
Hello, everyone. Happy Friday. It has been a busy Friday here at DNVR. But before we get started talking about what slow starts mean in the NHL and NBA, I got to tell you guys about Hassel Cattle Company, which means hassle-free meat life. We brought you damn good beers, and now we're delivering it to you. Why are you laughing?
That's such a ridiculous line.
Okay, well, maybe you should write these then.
Maybe I should.
We brought you damn good beer, and now we're delivering to you damn good beef.
That's
Hassel
a good
Cattle
one.
Company is the absolute best source for farm-to-table Wagyu beef in the country. Hassel Cattle Company is a fourth-generation cattle farm out of Texas. They ship all over USA and straight to your door. And like I mentioned last week, we ordered it, and in 2 days, it was at our house. And we had some sausages, Denver steaks, bacon, burgers. It was all so good. Tasted great. I used the air fryer for some of the cooking. It was fantastic. But best damn Wagyu that every man or woman can afford is what Hassel Cattle Company offers. Like I said, they've got those smoked sausages. Ryan, you love the cheddar ones, right?
So good. Jalapeno cheddar sausages, the single best thing I think you can get from there. And it's all really good.
I liked the regular sausages. I can't have cheese, so the regular ones were fantastic as well. But you can get in on some of the Hassel Cattle Company meat if you go to hassellcattlecompany.com. That's HASSELL cattlecompany.com and use the promo code DNVR10 for 10% off your order. That's right, DNVR10 for 10% off your order. And then if any orders over $200, you receive free shipping. Check them out, and we promise you won't be disappointed. We haven't tried the Denver steaks yet, but I definitely will let you all know what those taste like when we get to that. But welcome into the Denver Sports Podcast presented by Breckenridge Brewery. Does anyone have a Breck? There we go, Drew.
You can always trust Drew.
Exactly. Hot Peak IPA. Today, like I said, we're going to talk about whether or not slow starts matter more with this shortened season in the NBA and in the NHL. Obviously, we're not saying the Avs are off to a slow start yet. They've just lost their first game of the season. We have another game tonight. We'll see how that goes. But the Nuggets did have a slower start, and they didn't reach 500 until a few days ago over the weekend during a road trip. So, Brendan, what does that slow start mean to the Nuggets, and how were you concerned at all? Are you concerned at all for this team with that slow start?
Well, yeah, so obviously there's a shortened season this year, right? 10 games shorter. And so it's a math problem. You'd like a longer runway to work yourself out of a slow start. But the other thing about a COVID year that I've noticed so far, at least in the NBA, very few teams really got off to that hot start and hit the ground running. Nuggets struggling. They're a game and a half out of third place. It's early. So, I think the Nuggets slow start can really be explained. They brought in a new second unit, guys that hadn't played together. Regardless of continuity, the starters had, the second unit didn't. There's not really a training camp. They're not really getting to practice. And, of course, JaMychal Green, the vital offseason signing, was injured to start the season. So you can really, if you want to back yourself away from the panic and explain the Nuggets, poor start and practical reasons, it's not that difficult. Obviously, we're used to this team jumping out to 8-1, 9-1 starts. And so it's going to feel like it's rough. And the concern level, you can't pretend it's not happening. But no, Allie, I think they deserve a longer runway under these circumstances to prove. And they have that time to make up this ground.
We've seen Jamal Murray struggling a lot. Not a lot, I guess, just not back to his bubble self that he was. Do you think that has to do with the shortened training camp preseason?
I think Jamal's exhausted. I think you could hear it in his initial comments. I don't know if this is like my read on his words, so I'm not trying to put this on him. It sounded like he understandably went home and really just took some time off and wanted to be back home. And I think he earned that after everything he put himself through physically and mentally in the bubble. He's shooting more threes, hitting more threes, finishing better at the rim. His point per game average is actually up through the first 11 games of the season. But, the contract kicked in. The expectations are higher now. And I think defensively, he's been arguably the worst point of attack defender in the NBA. So whether he's tired, banged up, just sort of taking his time getting back into it, I think it's still fair to say that he's off to a slow start, as you did.
I think with these starts in these long season sports, I personally don't think they matter at all. Now, you would rather not have them because then you don't have to work your way out of any hole. But I tweeted it after the Nuggets lost to the Kings, and I was just like, yeah, good thing this doesn't matter at all. And then after they lost again, someone tweeted at me, and they're like, does it matter now that they lost to the Kings twice? And I was like,
not
nope,
really.
It still doesn't matter.
Right.
So you prefer not to have this happen 10 times out of 10. But when it does, it just, if you believe in the team, you believe they're eventually going to work their way out of it. For the Nuggets, it's been pretty abrupt. You can see they're already playing a much better brand of basketball than they were a week ago even. And, what went from I was starting to worry about the bench unit, that's where my actual worries were. Well, now the bench unit has looked really good for a few games. So all of these things, especially in a season where you didn't have a ramp up, every team is going to be ramping up their own way. So,
right.
As we look at the Avs who are not off to a slow, I guess they're off to a slow start as slow as they can be.
They get a chance to respond, I think.
Right. Even if the Avs started 6-6, I'm not going to be panicking about that team. Although, Rudo, before the show, you said maybe it's not that simple.
Yeah, we can finish up the Nuggets conversation, but if they start 6-6, it could get a little ugly in Avs land, put it that way.
Do you think that has to do with the fact that the Avs and Avs fans have such high expectations for themselves that because of if they got to a slow start, that would really hurt those expectations?
A little bit. That's definitely part of it. I'm of two minds about it. At the end of the day, if you make the playoffs in the NHL, it doesn't really matter how you get there. But at the same time, removing yourself from an opportunity to be the top seed in your division is going to hurt you.
Yeah, and I think going back to what you were saying, Ryan, we saw that last year with the Nuggets. We saw Nikola Jokic slow to get into it, really, and fans were getting frustrated. They're like, what's happening with Jokic? Is it because he's out of shape? Is it because of this or that? And we learned that once things started mattering more, he stepped it up and started playing better. So I think definitely in the NBA, things could be different with a shortened season, but I think that the season isn't as important if you're not doing well.
I think there's definitely something to Jamal Murray being tired. I also think that Jamal Murray is in the phase right now, potentially, that Jokic was in 1 year ago, which was the year before Jokic realized, I have an extra gear that I can just turn on whenever I want. And because he went crazy in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And last year, Jamal Murray found that out about himself too. And so maybe it's a little bit of an overcorrection to be like, well, I'll turn this on when I need it. And maybe, he just didn't turn it on enough. And now he's kind of had that slow start, and and then he gets banged up like he always does, and maybe that's affecting him. But I do think there's something to, learning that, okay, when I need it, I know where I can take this, and I don't need it right now.
And there's growth, and I think you grow into being that guy, whatever that guy is, right? Jokic is apparently learning this year to be an MVP candidate. I can't take that first month off. And maybe Jamal will learn that, to be a max player, to get that all-star spot I should say, you can't take games off. But I think you're right, Ryan. I also think, if I had to bet money right now, I would think Jamal Murray looks pretty darn good in the playoffs. But, I think it's fair. I think it's fair to say, hey, highest paid player on the team, something doesn't look right on defense. Are you writing him off? Of course not. But, if some folks want to hold him to a higher standard, I get that. I think at a certain point, it's okay to call for consistency. And maybe when that $170 million contract kicks in, that might be that point.
I'm starting to really love those little charts that pop up on NBA Twitter every day with the little faces.
Total points added, right?
Yeah, the TPA charts. The reason I love them is because every single time I see one, it adds up with exactly the way I've been feeling. And unfortunately for Jamal Murray, he's way down on the defensive side of things, and he's not making up for it on the offensive side of things. And that adds up with what you're seeing. Like, it's just not the Jamal Murray we know and love. And on the other side of it, you're like, man, it feels like Nikola Jokic might be playing better basketball than anyone in the world right now. And there he is, his head floating far away from everyone else.
Yeah. So, and look, I mean, you just ask yourself what you know about the Nuggets. We just said, what do we know about Jamal? He's probably going to step it up when it matters. Jokic is that guy. What the second unit's different, but the Nuggets have been a top 3 seed for what, 2-3 years now, 3 seasons. So this isn't a leap. Are the Nuggets good? Probably. And so you can list it off. MPJ, they're integrating him. He's missed several games. Jamal Murray off to a slow start. He missed a game. Gary Harris, best perimeter defender. He's missed multiple games. A second unit that, as we just described, is new, didn't get to practice. The most important free agent signing of the offseason, JaMychal Green, he's missing games. So it's not that hard to sort of piece together why is this happening. And look, you don't want to fall too far behind in the standings, but again, 3 games out of first and a game and a half out of the 3rd seed. And this is a season in which unfortunate things could strike for any team at any time. Of course, you're not rooting for that, but it's all still on the table. And did the Nuggets had some things to figure out. We thought Malone might have to experiment from time to time. If there's a point for that to happen in the season, I really don't mind that it's right now.
Drew, you chuckled a bit. What are your thoughts on this? You've been quiet right now, so.
Burn it all to the ground. Fire everybody. Trade everybody. I want to do that for once. No, it just felt. Oh, it feels good.
It is.
I get why people do that. Oh, it felt good a little bit. No, yeah, I'm with all of that. It is. I think really interesting to me. Another reminder of how small sometimes the margins can be between being great and being off of being great. And that was, I think, to me, watching the Avs game as well, that was the most shocking thing, and that's what's going on. It's that shock value of we have this certain expectation of what greatness looks and feels like, and there's a consistency element to it. There's a dominance element to it, and especially with the Broncos and Rockies, just nowhere near that right now. I think people in this town were really ready for the Nuggets to come out and just stomp some teams, and for the Avs to come out and look unbeatable. And the Avs looked very beatable. And, the Nuggets haven't fully gelled, and we've kind of been sold on this idea that they didn't need to gel. Though everything Brendan just said makes sense. I think it's just oftentimes we oversimplify these things and go, well, they made it X far last year and they're getting better. They should immediately just step right into the next season without having missed a beat. Right. And it's just, progress isn't linear in any sport. And so, this is why my analysis is very, very simple in all sports, and I apologize for that. But I look at the talent level of the people on the roster, and I say, what do I think these guys are capable of? And when I look at the talent level on the Denver Nuggets roster, I go, yes, these guys are still capable of winning an NBA championship. No, I'm not excited about the start, but you've got to, in every season, every team has moments that you got to get things to come together. The coach has to do a thing. A guy has to find his right role. Somebody has to realize they're the superstar all the time, which is going on with Jokic right now. But I still see a team with all of the right pieces to be the best in the NBA, even if they're not right now.
And if a month from now they're bad, feel free to crawl into my DMs and hand me a custom size L. You can put glitter on it, do whatever you want. But I just think 11 games deep's a little early when you know that, okay, MVP candidate, guy who was a top 5-6 player in the playoffs last year, and that's not your MVP candidate. And we haven't even talked about Michael Porter Jr. yet. You just don't have to jump ship. You don't have to.
Yeah, I feel like I'm constantly fighting the football town attitude sometimes in Denver. It's because the one sport of everyone who's sitting here that it matters if you start slow is football. Every single game that you lose, there's some stat of only 25% of teams that started 1-3 ever made the playoffs. I think it's even lower than that, 10%. 1-4, now you're down to 5%. That is the sport where it actually matters. And I feel like people are just as a sports town in general, Denver is obviously geared towards football. That's, the team that's brought 3 championships here. And so a lot of times I feel like there are football-like reactions to this.
Sure.
And I'm always trying to push back on that, being like, this isn't like football. It doesn't matter. Like, they need time to gel. It's okay. But, it's there's just things that you keep an eye on. You don't want to see like really concerning trends. And the one thing that I started to worry about is there were concerning trends with the Nuggets bench that were forcing Michael Malone to not play them, which eventually was going to take a toll on Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray. So I was like, okay, that's concerning. Let's keep an eye on that trend. Well, a few games later, it seems okay.
We had a comment that said great pronunciation of Jokic's name, and now I'm second guessing how I said it.
That's how it works, baby. Welcome to my world.
I'm like, did I say Nikola or did I say Nicola? Like, which one did I say?
I think the hard E is the one that is the correct way of saying it.
And then they get
Amazing.
the cola part. Like we emphasize the wrong part of it. I can't do it. I can't figure it out. But yeah,
Nikola Jokic.
close. Good enough.
Now
Better
my
than us.
brain, like I read that comment and I was like, wait, what? Yay, but which way did I say it? So
That's
I'm gonna have to go
life.
back to the podcast and listen to how I said it the first time around. But Vogt, last week we got to hear Harrison's expectation for this season. So I want to hear yours real quick before we move on to the Avs. Even with this slow start, what is your expectation for the Nuggets this year?
It's pretty similar to where I had them last year. I predicted preseason last year they'd lose in the second round to the Clippers. I was happy to be almost right and then very wrong about that. I think it's kind of similar this year. I think their ceiling's Western Conference Finals. I think maybe they could scare LA 6-7 games. Who knows? Get lucky. But I don't think they're one of the 2-3 best teams in the NBA. But I think they're right there. And so you're answering these questions that are sort of like low floor, high ceiling questions. How does Michael Porter Jr. fit in? Who is Jamal Murray? These are big swing factors. They might lose in the first round. They might make it to the Western Conference Finals. I feel comfortable splitting the difference.
Well, now in the comments, they're saying that never trust Ice Cave Guy.
Yeah.
It brings us pleasure to mess with you all. So maybe I didn't even say it right.
Picked up on that, Voya.
Fantastic.
But okay, awesome. Before we move on to the Avs, got to tell you guys about DraftKings Sportsbook. Last Wednesday when the Avs played, I called Andre Burakovsky to get that goal, to score a goal. He ended up scoring the first goal, only goal, which was exciting. Yay, made some money off of that. I've been nervous to bet on basketball, but I sprinkled a lot when it came to the Avs last week. So, Ryan, give us a little good props for the Nuggets this weekend and then the Avs tonight.
I know you're living a busy life when you think a game that happened 2 days ago was last week.
Did I say last week?
Yes.
I don't.
She is busy.
I feel
that we can confirm.
I literally don't even remember what I just,
awesome.
had just said. So great.
I mean, there's a lot of good stuff. What'd you say?
No, tell me Avs tonight. But Kale made a good point in the comments. So tell me about the Avs tonight.
Oh, well, until they, change it up on me, I'm just going to keep going back to the well on shots on goal. I feel like it's the one thing that's like really easy to predict in hockey is who's gonna be a part of the offense. So Mikko Rantanen over 2.5 shots. I'm going right back to it. I hit it last time. I'll hit it again. And then they actually gave you a little extra value on this because Nate didn't cover it until the very last shift, but he's at 3.5. It's minus 195, but I really don't expect to see him not put the puck on net tonight. Maybe Rudolph can back me up on that one.
Yeah. Nathan McKinnon went 2 games in a row without scoring only 3 times last year. So just bet on him to score a goal tonight.
Okay, yeah. So last Wednesday, on Wednesday, I did points, but now you're saying shots. So I'm going to take a look at the shots. But Kale made a good point. We do have the big betting bonanza tomorrow, which is we're going live while watching NFL, NBA, college, and just talking about what bets we're placing. And you guys can tune in on DNVR_bets on Twitter. That's how you'll see it. Or, of course, on this YouTube channel, you'll get to watch all of the bets go on.
Allie's making that sound a lot more formal than it is. We're just going to drink and bet on stuff, and you guys get to watch.
It makes sense that I'm trying to make it a little more formal. But...
Yeah. You're producing that. You're going to hate it.
Oh, I'm so excited. Love to hear that, Well, this will be covered in tomorrow's show, but to celebrate this year's football playoffs, DraftKings is giving all new users the chance to bet on any of this weekend's professional football games at 100-1 odds. That's right. All you have to do is bet $1 on any football game this weekend. And if your team wins, you cash $100. That is awesome. DraftKings is constantly giving out great odds boosts, free money. I really recommend it, especially if you have some off weekends. Download the top-rated DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use that promo code DNVR when you sign up to get 100-1 odds on any football game this weekend. That's code DNVR for new players to get a shot at $100 on any football action this weekend for a limited time only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Must be 21 or older. Colorado only. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. And of course, if you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-522-4700. Ryan.
Yes.
Mislav, how do you pronounce it? Brennan?
Mislav.
Wants you to wish him a good night.
I wish you a good night, Mislav.
Okay, Ruda, let's move on to the NHL. Like we said, the Avs are not off to a slow start. They just lost their first game of the season. But you disagreed with Ryan that it wouldn't matter if they were off to a slow start. Why was that?
Well, it matters mostly because of the shortened season. And the Avs are in a sprint. They play 56 games in 116 days. And if they're like the Nuggets and 12 games in, they're 6-6. 20% of their season is over.
Yeah,
and we've seen, we've seen the Avs do this. When the Avs need a win, what do? They play Nathan McKinnon 25 minutes a night, and they are just going to grind their best players into dust. Now, can they still make the playoffs doing that? Absolutely. I think it wouldn't be that hard for them to do so. But if you get into the playoffs as the Avs and your star players are worn down and just can't keep up already into a grueling playoffs, you're in trouble. I'm not saying I don't like the Avs goaltenders. I think they're very good. But for the Avs to be successful in the playoffs, they need their star players to be at 100%, at least at the beginning of them.
Rudo, do they need like optimal matchups and home ice and all of that? Like when you're talking about this slow start, the Avs to me, and I'm a layman here, they just sound so talented that they might be viewed as a team. Well, if they get it going in the playoffs, they're fine. But is it a little more sort of finicky than that in hockey or with this team?
I mean, the magic about the hockey playoffs is that anything can happen.
Right.
If you get in, you have a real chance to win it all. But with the Avs specifically, what another side of this is, what does their depth look like by the time they get to the playoffs? If the Avs get ahead and can kind of coast through parts of the regular season, that means they can play all of their rookies. They can play a Bowen Byram. They can play a Martin Kaut. Maybe they find out, oh, we can rely on this guy in a certain situation, and those playoff matchups become a lot easier because you're not trying to force it with a guy that just isn't working. So it goes back and forth. But
I guess the way I look at it, it kind of goes back to that talent argument. And when you watch that game the other night, like the problem for them, they looked sloppy. It looked like a preseason game to me.
Exactly. Don't throw that game out the window. That is not who the Colorado Avalanche are going to be this season. It might take them a couple of games to start clicking, but as soon as their passes start connecting, the team is far too talented to look like that. So,
right. So that's, I guess my thought on it is, even if they look like that again tonight, and then maybe they scrape one out against a couple bad teams. And they scrape one out against a couple bad teams in California or whatever, and they end up, maybe it's not 6-6, but it's 4-3 or something like that. And, you look back and you say, oh, well, two of those losses were those kind of warm-up games against St. Louis where they just didn't really have it yet. Like, as long as they are trending up, I'm not going to be worried about them.
And you bring up a good point with the Avs started the season against one of the other best teams in the division. Now, it's no excuse. St. Louis came ready to play and the Avs didn't. That's simply not good enough. But sloppy play is going to get you some wins against a decent amount of teams in this division for the Avs. If you're playing LA, if you're playing Arizona, you can manage to win games even if the Avs are bringing their C, D, whatever level of game you want to call that the other night. So maybe not a great flip of the coin for them to have to open against St. Louis, but this is a team where you don't worry about a lot of teams in this division, honestly. At least certainly not yet. If we're at 20 games into the season and they're losing to the weaker teams, then it's a problem. But looking through last year, the best team in the NHL last year lost 31% of their games. So teams lose a lot in the NHL. It's just part of the equation. You just have to win enough. And the thing about a slow start is it takes away the safety net.
Yep.
You just have to, you get to a point where it's now we have to win. And that's
Right,
the big
right.
thing.
Yeah. Wesley's in the comments and he is saying the last 2 cup winners, the Lightning were at 500 about halfway through the year, and the Blues weren't even in the playoff picture halfway through.
Yeah,
He's saying slow starts only matter if they can't get into the playoffs.
that is true. And again, it is kind of two minds of this. Being below 500 further than halfway through the season is an extreme rarity for teams to make the playoffs. In a regular year, it's American Thanksgiving, which is about a month and a half into the season. Call it 15 to 20 games. 90% accuracy. Teams in the playoffs at American Thanksgiving make the playoffs in the NHL. So
I love that.
love
If you
it.
cover hockey, you have to
I
call it
love it.
American.
It's amazing.
Yeah,
I'm
totally
so confused by that qualifier.
Canadian
That was
Thanksgiving is in
so
October,
natural
if
for
you
him.
didn't know.
Okay. Hey, we've got Orthodox Serbian Christmas. That gets confusing.
There you go.
That's so
Rudo,
fantastic.
I want to see what you think of this comment. JT is saying, I'm seeing Bednar already changing things up. 1 game in, he thinks Stanley Cup expectations are weighing on him.
I mean, is he changing things up, really? Avs have a bad night, and your plan is, all right, I guess we'll put the 3-headed monster back together. Like, it's a pretty easy fallback to go to no matter what. So I don't think he's really changing things that much after 1 game. They tried something the other night, and Brandon Saad, new guy on the team, looked pretty lost on the second line. So they might have to look at something like that if that doesn't start to click. But expectations are, give this team 5 games. Everyone will figure their stuff out. And you know what? The 3-headed monster might just be capable of carrying them until everyone starts clicking.
And I think that, we'll see how they play tonight at 7 o'clock. Also, real quick, first come, first serve at the DNVR bar. It was filling up probably around an hour, maybe an hour and a half.
2 hours before last game.
I mean, 2 hours, we were pretty full. Obviously, we're listening to all of the COVID-19 restrictions and guidelines, meaning we can only have 25% capacity at the bar. So if you are thinking of coming down tonight, it is so fun. But get here early and just prepare for that kind of thing in the future. Since same with Nuggets, we'll be doing first come, first serve for pretty much all of the games. But depending on how they play tonight, I think they expected to win that game. And they came out slow, sluggish, and I could just see, and based on their comments post game, like they were angry and upset because they didn't expect that from themselves. So I could see Nathan MacKinnon coming out here with a fire tonight to make a point that the Blues don't have their card or whatever that expression is.
Their number.
Their number.
I think their card is an alternative.
Yeah,
We'll allow it. Yeah.
No, we don't.
I blame that on just having Ecuadorian parents, so I never heard all of these sayings growing up. So now
Michelle's the same way. She gets them just
never
wrong.
know.
Just wrong.
Yeah, I know half of it, or 75% of it. My parents the other day were asking me about fish in the sea. They were like, "What is that? Which one is that one? Plenty? A lot?"
Yeah.
My grandma said, "Is it fish in the tank?" I'm like, "No, no." Anyways, we're making the card happen, is what Lindsay's saying in the comments. I think Nathan MacKinnon is going to come out firing, and it's going to be a better representation of what the team is about tonight.
Yeah.
Because they're playing the Blues again, so it's like we're going to make up for this.
I think you'll definitely see a higher effort level from the Avalanche. I have no doubt about that one. The way they showed up in the first period in that game was just not good enough. That's clearly what they're not happy with. We'll see about the sloppiness. It might still be a little bit of a greasy game, but they're not going to let the Blues run over them to start the game, and they have to. It's an opponent like the St. Louis Blues. If you let them get ahead, congratulations, you've fallen right into their trap of how they want to play hockey. And if you want to beat them, you have to put pressure on them offensively. So I expect to see that out of the Avs. We'll see how much the players actually start to click, though.
Vogt. People are asking when Serbian Christmas is.
It's in January.
January 7th.
7th, right? Thanks. Wow, RK's on it. I was going to ask Voya in the comments.
There
we go. There he is. Perfect.
There we go. Okay, so people are coming in to defend me. You could pull someone's card.
You could pull someone's card in what context?
I don't know what this expression is. So,
Like you can pull the McKinnon card when you're losing.
You know what? I appreciate you guys in the comments for trying to help me out there. But all right.
Rogues Gallery. That's awesome.
That should be the name of our band.
Yeah, dude. That's great.
We're to move on to who won the week. We'll see who won the week last week, who gets an extra 30 seconds to talk about whatever they want, and who wins the week this week. We'll see. But first, we've had several DNVR listeners switch over to Green Mountain Dental Group over the years and to make them their permanent family dentist. Guys, February, it's happening. I'm getting my wisdom teeth removed. I'm a little nervous, but I don't have to be on camera every day because Mac has been doing the daily sports report, so she can take over that, and you guys don't have to see my poofy face after getting my.
You said the Slack a picture though. Do that.
Ryan probably will send videos.
Yeah,
that's ridiculous. So, we'll see that. But I'm really excited to go check out Green Mountain Dental Group. Lindsay went there to get her wisdom teeth removed, and it was such a great process. Doctors helped her out immediately. The dentist helped her out immediately if there was anything going on. So we highly recommend checking them out. They're only 15 minutes away from downtown Denver over in Lakewood. It is Green Mountain Dental Group. We had a member come in the other day to the bar and say that they booked it for Mountain Dental Group, not realizing that it's Green Mountain Dental Group. So don't forget that. And when you go there, you get a free Sonicare toothbrush if you schedule a cleaning, x-ray, and exam. And like I said, they're just really awesome people. Supporting them really supports us. So definitely go check them out. All right. While I am pulling up the Green Mountain Dental, the Who Won the Week song, Ryan, Broncos got a new GM.
They sure did.
How do you feel about George Paton?
George Paton, it's exciting. It's always hard, people ask me well, what is this guy's characteristics? And it's just he's a GM. GMs, it's not he's 6'5", 245, got a great
jump
vertical
shot a little too heavily.
Yeah, he's been part of some good things in Minnesota. They've drafted more Pro Bowlers, I believe, than any team over the last 10 years. So, they're doing something right over there. But you never know how much of a hand each person has in eeach decision. Was he part of, the people that wanted to give Kirk Cousins a fully guaranteed contract that hasn't worked out so great for them? I don't know. Excuse me, there's a lot of exciting things about George Paton. I think the most exciting thing is just the Broncos getting a little bit of a fresh start. Things had gotten a little stale around there. A lot of the same people, a lot of the same ideas, to the point where, going into drafts, we could point to certain guys and say, well, that's not a John Elway guy, I can't. And now everything's back on the table. The new GM could love Drew Lock. The new GM could hate Drew Lock. The new GM could want to trade for Matt Stafford. The new GM could want to draft Trey Lance at number 9 in the draft. So there's a lot of excitement in the unknown, obviously. And the Broncos really needed a new direction. The best part I can say about George Paton is that he was really, really coveted around the league. He was a finalist for multiple jobs before he pulled himself out of those searches, decided he wasn't ready or didn't want to go to the Jets or the Cleveland Browns. And for him to, kind of come out and say Denver had everything I was looking for has to be exciting for Broncos fans. So really well respected and hopefully he's the guy to get things back on track.
How much of a cushion does he have? Football, it always seems like these decisions come pretty rapid fire in comparison to the other big sports. So if the Broncos don't take a big step forward this coming season, is he in the hot seat already?
No. He's got a 6-year contract. So, with the Broncos, a lot of worry was whether or not the job was going to be desirable, considering the fact that the ownership situation is in flux. And I think the way that they kind of calmed his nerves on that was to say, well, how about we give you a 6-year contract? And if we do that, a new owner is probably not going to come in here and fire you and pay you for 4 years or 5 years that are left on your contract. So he's got time here. He's here for the long haul. He'll have the opportunity to kind of implement a plan and execute it before he's really even on the hot seat.
right, it's way too early for you to know. Is there any sort of preliminary like trepidation or concern about what Elway's relationship is going to be and any potential conflict?
Yeah, I think my original thought was, oh man, I don't know if this is going to truly be a situation where GM has full power. And the more I've heard, and even just listening to John Elway talk about it, he's ready to move on. I think that his role with the team from here going forward, as he's kind of moving fully into the president of basketball or president of football operations job, is going to be pretty limited. It's mostly going to be in name and title only, and he'll remain a figurehead for the team because he's John Elway. But I think from a decision-making standpoint, he's really going to be out of the way, letting George Paton and his team do everything, because I just don't think John Elway wants the day-to-day grind of being a general manager anymore.
George Paton made a comment, which we have a lovely Instagram post on it. Go
perfect. That's production quality right there.
Oh, lovely. We can see it. It's great.
And he said, in many ways, I feel like this team is a sleeping giant. And after the last few seasons that the Broncos have had, hearing your new GM say something like that and really seem like he is ready to step up and take this challenge is really exciting.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Broncos are a sleeping giant. We're talking about one of the more proud franchises in NFL history, and they're in a down cycle right now. But usually those teams find a way to cycle back up. So luckily for George Paton, as John Elway has kind of rounded out his time here as general manager, he put together some really good drafts, and there's a lot of young talent on the football team right now. And he's going to have to make some tough decisions in different areas, but there's a nice little baseline here. George Paton is not coming into a bare cupboard. And whether Drew Lock is the guy or someone else is the guy, if this team gets the quarterback situation figured out, they should be able to, get back into playoff contention pretty quickly.
Rick in the comments here trying to scare me, saying my wife nearly died getting her wisdom teeth pulled, literally. Well, I'm glad that your wife is okay.
Yeah.
But
jeez,
that's scary.
Yes, that's terrifying.
Gonna think of that now. But I bet Green Mountain Dental Group will take care of me, and
that's right.
Hopefully it'll all be good. But all right, guys, it's time.
Have it on good authority. Green Mountain Dental Group has 0 deaths on their record. So
Googled it. He just Googled it.
We are going to jump into who won the week. Hopefully you guys can hear it the first time this time instead of the third time I try and do it. So bring that up. Tell me if you guys can hear it.
Who did the most and who did the least? Who was the dog and who was the beast? Who's in the boat and who's up the creek? Let's see. Who did the week?
Oh, I missed hearing that. Oh, there you can see a black screen, which is where the audio was playing. We are going to check out who won last week, and based on that, that person or that beat will have a chance to talk about 30 seconds about whatever they would like uninterrupted. Who won the week last week? It was A, Nikola Jokic for launching a legitimate MVP case. B, the Avs for having 4 prospects.
SMH. I'm so sad.
C, future Bronco Deshaun Watson for getting an excuse to get the hell out of Houston. And D, Scott Oberg for finally getting back to throwing.
I'd like a word with the committee on the wording of that, by the way.
What would you have preferred?
Hey, the guy threw he's making a miraculous comeback from a life-saving surgery. Come on, man. He's a baseball player who threw a baseball. No wonder I got 4%.
The audio, and that's what you said when you said the surgery. You didn't say it for him recovering. You said possibly fixing. So we listened back and tried to figure out the best way to say it without saying he's
cut out some of that guy's rib to solve a blood clot problem. It's he threw a baseball. No, it's fine.
But that didn't happen last week.
He did throw a baseball last. So the comments though were really upset that the Buffs weren't included in this. We've got Colorado for 10-0 against Oregon and Boulder, McKinley Wright and Tad Boyle, CU continuing their streak by beating another ranked Oregon team.
Well, those people will be appeased today. Don't worry.
Someone said stop feeding into the Watson trade.
Never. I will never stop feeding that until it is completely dead.
Okay, so obviously, like you guys already heard, B, the Avs for having 4 prospects win silver and gold in WJCs won by 50.3% of the votes. There was 1,100 votes. And I do think I saw, very sadly, I think I showed Eric that I think AJ had quote tweeted this, and someone said, "Who is Nikola Jokic?" And it was really.
I'm gonna go cry. So
Yeah, they were joking. Although Shaquille O'Neal apparently thinks he's from
Yeah,
Russia, so
fair.
maybe it's serious.
No, that person
We're
was
sensitive.
serious. He was like, "Oh, I don't follow basketball, so I just didn't know." So that person was serious, but it definitely made us all sad. Rudo,
This is garbage, by the way. Jokic should have won this in a landslide.
thank you, Ryan.
well,
I'll give you a hug right now if it
until
wasn't
maybe
illegal.
it was the promotion of it, because until the Avs guys quote tweeted it, future Bronco Deshaun Watson was winning.
Yeah, that was a better candidate too.
Harrison is upset. Well,
Checking in from wherever he is.
promote it more. I agree. Nikola Jokic should have won, but it is not the case. Rudo, you have 30 seconds to talk about whatever you feel. AJ is hoping that you win this week so that he gets 30 seconds to talk about whatever he wants next week. So, starting, go.
All right. So first of all, yeah, why didn't you vote for Nikola Jokic? Especially after another week, you guys are just wrong. But thank you. Thank you for this. I'm going to talk about the Dallas Stars and why you should be glad you're not a Dallas Stars fan. I believe maybe football had a worse one, but certainly the worst outbreak in both basketball and hockey. Dallas Stars has 17 players test positive for COVID in their training camp and have started to ruin the NHL season already. So,
Time.
17.
Yeah,
That's a lot.
Good Lord.
It's got to be
Yeah,
a
there were
record.
some
That's more than
college.
the Marlins.
There were some college football teams that were worse off than that before the season started. But yeah, that's rough.
I'm just going to say it, and if you're in the comments and you're going to get upset about it, but being a fan of any team in Dallas, meh,
it's a mistake.
that's how I feel.
You could always
Not
just
as
choose
bad as
not
being-
to.
Not as bad as being a fan of a team in Houston right now, where like superstars are just bleeding out of Houston right now.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, who won the week this week? We are going to start off with the winner. So, Rudo, you're going to get a talk for another 30 seconds as to why the Avs or someone in the Avs organization won the week. But first, Drew, do you have someone for the Rockies, or are you going to be using another team's?
I mean, I could. They're gonna lose, but I could. I mean, I could do it.
Okay. I just wanted to give you a chance if you wanted to hop on to like
There was some nice
about
stuff.
the Buffs, Broncos, Avs, something.
Some guys got paid. It's fine.
Okay. All right, Rudo, starting now.
I don't think the Avs are going to win after game one, but Connor Timmins won the week. A guy who many people had counted out from making a big impact on the roster at all this season, makes the opening night roster. We'll see how long it lasts with EJ returning soon and Byram close behind. But Timmins is a guy who could easily establish himself as an NHL defenseman this season with a little bit of an opportunity. And so far, so good for him.
Okay. You had 5 seconds to spare. Way to kill it.
Here, I'll use that 5 seconds to shout out Scott Carpenter. The show does roll. Thank you, Scott.
All right, vote. Why do the Nuggets win the week, or why does someone in the Nuggets organization win the week? Go.
All right, hear me out. Nikola Jokic for launching a legitimate MVP campaign. So we're 12 games deep. He's got 24 points, 11.2 rebounds, 10.4 assists per game. That's a triple-double for you layman's at home. 57% from the field, 37% from deep, and 84% from the free throw line. The Nuggets have a historically great offense when he is on the court, and one of the worst offenses in the league when he is off the court. He is the best player in the world through 12 games, excuse me. That's good enough.
Nothing else needed.
Yeah.
Also, he started stealing the ball a bunch. That's what you needed at the end of it.
Oh, that's right.
Fourth
in the league, steals per game.
It's after that. No, that's after.
So,
No, it's after.
I'm gonna
Can't count
need you
that.
to
Judge,
write
strike
out
that from the record.
what exactly you want me to write for the poll.
The exact same
literally
verbiage.
just
The exact same verbiage.
Literally filled out a full tweet of what
Just
I could
say-
say, and I can't add all.
Just saying Nikola Jokic for being the best basketball player in the world right now.
Thank you. I
Just
like
write
that.
wrong answer for the other three, and then you're fine.
Okay. Yeah, people are saying Cookie Monster Jokic, 2
Oh,
steals
right.
per game.
Mm.
Steph, who is an avid Avs fan, said go Nuggets, to be honest. But we still got some Avs fans saying boo.
Yeah,
that's right.
And then, of course, we have people agreeing that Texas is just AJ is the good thing that came from Texas. That's
right.
what we got. I can't think of anything.
We got
else.
AJ.
LaVisca Chenault.
Oh, yep.
Technically born in Texas, I was.
Oh.
Okay. So
Oh,
then we're
Texas
not
two-step
new.
on the Avs beat.
All right, Ryan. Why did the Broncos or someone in the Broncos organization win the week? Or Buffs? I know you. Okay. Why did the Buffs win the week?
McKinley Wright won the week. He set the all-time record for assists in Colorado basketball history, and no one put it better than the voice of the Buffs, Mark Johnson himself, who said, in a day and age when basketball has become so much about me, no one has given more in the history of the Colorado Buffaloes basketball team than McKinley Wright. An incredible record for him to hold in a place that has had some really, really great point guards. He is the best pure point guard that has gone through Colorado. So McKinley Wright wins it for setting the assist record.
That's a good answer. That's a good one.
Thank you. Thank you.
Eric is surprised. No George Paton. And actually, for anyone listening, that is how you pronounce it. I know a lot of people thought it's Paton because it's Paton, or there's a bunch of different pronunciations, but it is George Paton.
Yeah, no, he didn't. I mean, like, getting hired is like cool, but he didn't like do anything.
He did throw up the deuces. He did throw up
They
the deuces.
did.
in that way.
It was quite the time. Throwing up the deuces in an Under Armour collared shirt and some dad jeans was a move.
The forearm deuce too, not even the open. Just
Nope.
I wouldn't have put it past you to say that he won the week just because he's the Broncos GM, because we've had that happen before. Like the Broncos started training camp, so they won the week. Like we've had that type of response before. So okay, McKinley Wright, that was a good one. Drew, let's start with you. Why did whoever you choose win the week?
So I'll go with the Rockies arbitration guys today. A group of young players. The baseball has the most punishing pay scale for young players of any of the major sports, and a lot of guys who've been dramatically underpaid are now slightly less dramatically underpaid. The guys I'm most excited about are Antonio Senzatella and Carlos Estevez, guys who didn't get big signing contracts. They didn't have big bonus payments. Really, for the first time in their life, they're making real major league professional money. May not be the biggest thing in the world, but they deserved it. They earned those contracts. So particularly Senzatella and Estevez, but all the ARB guys who got paid today.
I'm gonna
Freeland and Gray also got a little bumps.
Yep. Those guys were already making decent money, but yep, they got well-deserved bumps. A few other guys, Diaz, the other Diaz.
Such a Drew answer.
Arbitration guys. Let's see if I can get less than 4%.
How much did you get last time?
3.8.
3.8.
3.8. Okay. All right. Well, promote this better, guys. Use your beats. The poll will be on the post of what am I saying?
No, you got it.
Will be attached to the post on Twitter on DNVR_sports. There we go.
Carry the forward.
Post
and
on the poll
then you
match.
guys will retweet it and have their beats retweet it, so that way you guys have a chance to see who, where it is, and you guys can vote for who won the week there.
Let me just say this: if anyone other than Nikola Jokic or McKinley Wright wins this segment is canceled.
Also, Scott, he doesn't even go here anymore. Get out of here.
That dude DJ won the week 90.
Doesn't even go here anymore.
I love DJ LeMahieu.
So real quick, DJ LeMahieu has played in Major League Baseball for 10 years now, right?
Yeah.
And this contract alone, was it a 3-year contract?
6.
Oh, 6 year. This contract will pay him more than he's made in all 10 of those years combined.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
Going back to
That's
your
a dub.
point about how it takes a long time to get paid in baseball.
Yeah. And he's still going to be underpaid, but good for him. He finally is getting paid.
All right, guys, we've got a busy Friday, busy Saturday, busy Sunday. So don't forget to follow us on YouTube. Hit that alerts button. That way you get to see whenever we are going live. We've got Bets Daily coming up after this, right after this. So if you want more advice on what bets you should place using DraftKings Sportsbook, definitely check that out. Avs play at 7. Then we'll be doing an Avs postgame show. We've got the tailgate tomorrow at noon. Then we've got big betting bonanza. And then Sunday, we've got NFL Sunday and the Nuggets play on Sunday. So really busy weekend. You're not going to want to miss out. Be sure to follow us on all social platforms, and we will see you guys next week. Bye.